to Igcse Math Solution. Today we'll be solving the paper 22 of the Feb-Mar series, and personally I am extremely excited because if you all know, I am an Indian student and I have given the past 2018 paper Feb-Mar series as well. So I think we should just start. And so the first question is asking us to write a multiple of 3 from these given lists. Straight away it is 12. A cube number, we know that 8 can be written as 2 cubed. So 8 is a cube number. A prime number, if you look, you see that these square root ones won't actually be prime. And I have remaining 8, 12, and 5 because we cannot have a decimal as a prime number. So 5 prime number is 5. An irrational number. Now we know that usually irrational ones are those which have a square root sign like here or here. But actually square root of 196 is nothing but 14. So this is not an irrational number. Square root of 7 is irrational. Now we have to complete this stem and leaf diagram. Now one thing to notice over here is this given key where they are saying that 1 bar 3 represents 13, which means all that we have to do is split the numbers into tens and ones. So now for 1 I have 15, 13 and 18, and because I have to write the units place in ascending order, so I'll write it as 3, 5 and 8. I cannot write 5, 3 and 8 because we have to write it in ascending order. Corresponding to we have 21, 24, 28 and 26. 21, 24, 26 and 28. So 3 we have 36, 38, 38. Now and lastly we have 45 and 48. Now we have to find the median number of swimmers. So median is the middle value. How many values do I have? I have a total of 12 values. So because I cannot have a middle, so what I'll do is I'll take the average of 6th and 7th value. So what is the 6th value? This is the first, second and third value. 4th, 5th and 6th. So this right here is my 6th value and my 7th value is this right next to it. So my mean will be 26 plus 28. So it is 27 is my mean. 26 plus 28 by 2 is my mean, which is 27. Now we have that point A has coordinates 6, 4 and point B has coordinates 2, 7. We have to write it as vector AB. Vector AB is, this is my point A and this is point B. This will be my vector minus initial. Final minus initial. So this gives me the y coordinate will be written as 7 minus 4 because this is the final part. So it is 3 and the x coordinate will be written as 2 minus 6 which is minus 4. So vector will be 3 minus 4. Now we have to find the interior angle of a 24-sided polygon. So 24-sided polygon, actually you have a direct formula for that, which is n minus 2 the whole by n times 180. This is nothing but 22 by 24 into 180. But if you really want to get a feel of it, so the 24-sided figure would look somewhat like this, and there will be a lot of sides. So now, if I suppose this is the center, and this is one of those 24 parts, this will be the second one, this is the third one. So I know that this central angle Let me assume that is some theta. So that theta will actually be 360 by 24 because it is divided into 24 equal parts. So now I get this as I cancel a 6. So I get this as 15 degrees. So this theta is 15 degrees. Now because it is a regular polygon, this side and this side, these two sides will also be equal. So this is actually an isosceles triangle. So this angle, let me call it alpha. So alpha plus alpha, these are the base angles. Base angles plus theta is 180 degrees. So 2 alpha plus 15 is 180. So alpha is actually 165 by 2. Now because we need to find the interior angle, what is the interior angle? It is actually, this will also be alpha. So interior angle is 2 alpha. So 2 alpha is 165 degrees. Now we have to work out this without using the calculator, of course. And we have to give the answer in simplest form. So all that is saying is 15 by 28 divided by 4 by 7. So now division, if I want to convert into multiplication, because dividing fractions by fractions is actually a little bit complicated and it gets messy. So instead I'll take a reciprocal. Reciprocal means I'll invert the fraction. If I have it a by b, I have to divide it by a by b. Instead I'll take a reciprocal. It is called a reciprocal and I'll convert it into multiplying by b by a. So I get it 15 by 28 multiplied by 7 by 4. What I did is I just converted it into the reciprocal form and the division changes to multiplication. Now I can cancel out this 7 and I get 4 over here. So what I get is 15 by 16. Now you have to write the fraction in its simplest form. So this is a proper fraction and this is the simplest form which I can write. I have nothing common over here. So the answer is 15 by 16. Calculate the mean mass of these given data. So mean is nothing but the average. So I have 8 students who get 5 marks in the test. So I'll just multiply 8 times 5 plus 5 times 6 plus 11 times 7 plus 7 times 8 plus 5 times 9 plus 4 times 10. This whole will be divided by 40. What is this data actually showing if you want to understand it? There were 8 students who got 5 marks in the test. Next I had 5 students getting 6 marks in the test. Similarly 7 students scored just 7 marks in the test, and this is how we have been given a data. Now I'll just divide the whole thing by 40. What I get over here is 291 by 40. Now I have to calculate the area of this triangle. The area is simple. All I have to do is half times base times height, which is half into 10.8 centimeters into 8.5 centimeters. Now to calculate the perimeter, firstly I'll have to use Pythagoras' theorem to find this third side, which I will call as p. So what I get is p squared is 8.5 squared plus 10.8 squared. So I get p squared is 72.25 plus 116.64. So p square is 188.89. This implies that p is equal to 13.74. So now my perimeter will be sum of all sides. So it is 8.5 plus 10.8 plus 13.74. Now I have to evaluate this. So writing in standard form, 10 raised to minus 3 actually means division by 10 raised to 3. So it is 2.3 by 10 raised to 3 plus 6.8 by 10 raised to 4. Now I'll just multiply 10 in the numerator as well as the denominator. So I get both the denominators are 10 raised to 4. So it is 23 plus 6.8 by 10 raised to 4. So this gets converted to 29.8 by 10 raised to 4. Now because we have to give the final answer in standard form, so I can write this as 29.8 into 10 raised to minus 4. However, this is not standard form. If you see, I have a number which is greater than 9, and we know that this first number, other than the exponent part, this has to be a number between 1 equal to 1, or it has to be, actually it has to be less than 10. So I'll just shift the decimal to the left by 1 place. So I get as 2.98 into 10 raised to minus 3. Next I have to factorize this. Factorizing, firstly I can take a 3 common. So I get square minus 4xy times 4 times 3. Now I can also see that there is an x which I can take out from it. So I get 3x times x minus 4y. Next I have to simplify this. I'll just open one of the brackets. So I write it as n into n plus 2 minus 3 into n plus 2. So it is n square plus 2n minus 3n minus 6. So we get by n square minus n. Now we have to sketch this graph. So actually we can input any value and see, because we just have to sketch, but it is a lot safer if you input the values as in wherever it crosses the axis. So like let me take the value where x is 0. I get y as minus 3. So it will be somewhere around here. Also note that whenever you are sketching, these distances should be proportional. If I have taken this point as minus 3, then on the x-axis, if I get, I'm just assuming, if I get a value of minus 2, so this has to be shorter than this distance, because I have assumed this is distance of 3. So a distance of 2 should be smaller, it cannot be disproportionate. Next I'll assume y is equal to 0. If y is 0, I get x is 3. So because both the distances are 3, I can assume that this is the other point, and it has to be a straight line. So I will just try and this is a straight line. Next what I have is, again if I try to input those values, you'll see that if I take y as 0, so I get 1 by x to be 0. So now because my RHS is so small, it is 0, my LHS is also, it also has to be 0. But if you see, my x is in the denominator, which means my x has to be so large that this numerator, which is actually 1, should almost, numerator should almost tend to 0. So I can assume that x is almost equal to infinity. So it is somewhere here. And now when I take x as 0, so my y will almost be equal to infinity. So it is somewhere here. And I can see that it will never cut the axis. So it will be a shape somewhat like this. Again I will repeat it. So here I assume that x is equal to y and x, they were 0 in these parts, part 1 and part 2. But I also assume that y is a little bit greater, very minutely greater than 0, means it is on the positive side, because we know that it can never reach 0, so it will be a little bit ahead of 0 on the positive side. In mathematical term, we write it as y was equal to 0 plus. This plus means it was extremely minutely greater than 0, so it lies in the first quadrant. Similarly, I take case 3. Case 3 is when y is equal to 0 minus. Now 0 minus means it is extremely minutely, very minusculely to the left of 0. So somewhere over here. Now when y is equal to 0 minus, my x will be equal to negative infinity. Using the similar logic, when y is 0 plus, I get x as positive infinity. When y is 0 minus, I get x as negative infinity. So that point will come here, and by symmetry, you can see that I'll get another point over here. And this will turn out to be something like this. Now, if you all know a little bit, to give you an insight, if I take the x to the LHS, what I get is xy equal to 1. Now, this is a standard type. This is a standard graph. If you have a graphing software or somewhere you would have noted, you have heard of hyperbola. This is a type of graph which is called a hyperbola. It is of the type xy equal to c squared usually. So, but nothing to worry. You can always input a lot of points and check how the curve will turn out to be. But here I think this was, I'll just mark it. This was a little bit tough. You need to know about little bit about hyperbolas, or have, or at least have an intuition that there can be such a graph created. So now we are on question 11. Question 11, what it says is, we have to describe the single transformation for shape A going on to shape B. So from here to here. Firstly, note that the pointed part in this A shape is towards the right, and here it is towards the down. So one thing is for sure, that there is a rotation. So now rotation by how much? You can see that it is by 90 degrees, and that too it is clockwise. So it is clockwise 90 degrees, and now we need to find the center of rotation. So now one trick to find the center of rotation is, firstly you have to join all the corresponding points. So here I'll join this point over here, and I'll take another point. I'll assume this is my second. Now I have to draw the perpendicular bisector for this first line. So it will be somewhat like this. This is perpendicular to this line. Now again I'll draw a perpendicular to the second line, perpendicular bisector. So that will be somewhat like this. And wherever these two perpendicular bisectors meet, that will be the point of rotation. So it comes out that is 0, 2. Now second part is shape A onto shape C. For shape A going onto shape C, one thing you can see that these points, they are actually symmetric. As in, if you look the point, this first point, this is closest to the origin, and over here this is the corresponding point, and again it is closest to the origin. It means that it is some kind of reflection. Now we have to find the line about which it is reflected. Now if you see that you can count the number of boxes that this point is at 2 comma minus 2, while this point is at minus 2 comma 2. And again, if you do that for the other points, you will get to know that it is reflected about y equal to x. Lastly, we have shape A onto shape D. Shape A onto shape D. So it is an enlargement, of course. Now, enlargement And what is the factor of enlargement? Here on one side I have two boxes, but here I have only one. So it is enlargement factor is half. Now what is the point of enlargement? Again what you have to do is you have to join the corresponding points, and wherever these points will meet, whatever the point is, I think it should be somewhere around here only. So that will be your center of enlargement. The population of a town decreases exponentially, but instead of interest, now we have a population. So the amount is equal to principal into 1 plus r by 100 raised to n. Here p is principal amount and r is the rate of interest and n signifies the number of years. So now amount will be 2,50,000 times 1 minus, because it is decreasing at the rate of 1.7, so it will be 1 minus 1.7 by 100 the whole raised to 5, because it is for 5 years. So it is 2,50,000 into 1 minus 0.017 raised to 5, which is 2,500, 0.983 raised to 5. 2,29,460. So this is 2,29,460. But they are asking us to near it to the nearest 100. So because it is 460, I'll round up. So it will be 2,29,500. See, it becomes really important to read your question and see to it that you have understood every bit of whatever they are asking. You cannot miss out these things, and that is what will take you away from your A star and hinder you from becoming a world topper. Next, write the recurring decimal 0.26 point as a fraction. So let me assume that x, my fraction, is 0.26 point. Now what does this point actually mean is it is 0.2666. The 6 is repeating. Whatever comes under the point is repeating. So now I'll first multiply it by 10 and let me see what do I get. I get is 2.6 and that point. Now see, my aim is to remove all these x's 6's. Now I'll again multiply it by 10. Actually I want to multiply the x by 100. So 100x comes out to be 26.6 bar. Now if you see one thing, that if I subtract 100x from 10x, the decimal part is all gone. So what I get is 100x minus 10x, that is 26.6 points minus 2.6 points. So all these decimal places after the decimal place gets cancelled by this. So what I get, 90x is 26 minus 2, which is 24. So x is 24 by 90, which I can simplify it down to, first I'll divide it by 3. I get 8 over here and 30. I get 8 by 30, which I can again divide it by 2. So I get 4 by 15. Now we have a box and whisker plot. I'm sure you would have already learned how to read a box and whisker diagram. First, you have to write the median. And if you're not aware of it, I'll just tell you that this line which is drawn in the middle of this box signifies the median. So this median is 11.5. Next, I have to find the range. These ends, this is the max limit and this is the minimum limit. As in, what is the maximum data that I have, and this is the minimum, this line. So actually, this fine maximum minus the minimum is what my range is. So my range is 14 minus 2, which is 12. An interquartile range. Now, interquartile range is in this box and vector plot. This this last boundary of the box, this is my upper quartile, and this boundary, the left hand side boundary of the box, is actually my lower quartile. So interquartile range is nothing but upper quartile minus lower quartile. So upper quartile is 13.5 and lower quartile is 5. 13.5 minus 5, which is 8.5. Next, I have to work out this angle ABC. Firstly, I'll just use alternate segment theorem because ACQ is 64. By alternate segment theorem, I know that ADC, this will be 64. Angle ADC is 64 by alternate segment theorem. If you haven't watched my video, go check out my video on alternate segment theorem. I have given a clean proof and it is extremely simple to understand. If you haven't understood till now, don't worry, I'll got your back. Just go check out the video. Next, now that we have got ADC, if you look out for the quadrilateral ADCB. That is actually a cyclic quadrilateral because all the points A, D, C, and D, they lie on a circle. So now what is the property of a cyclic quadrilateral? The opposite angles, they add up to 180. So here angle ADC plus angle ABC should be equal to 180 because they are opposite angles of a cyclic quadrilateral. So now I get ADC as 64 plus angle ABC is 180. Now angle ABC is nothing but 116. Now we have to solve a simultaneous equation, and firstly I want to clarify one thing. A lot of you might get scared looking at here I have just a linear equation and here they are asking me to solve for a quadratic equation, but don't get scared. Either you can straight away input this value of x into here and square that term, but instead I would like to do it like this. X square minus y square is 39. So I can split this into factors x plus y and x minus y. Now x is 7 minus 3y. So 7 minus 3y minus y. This part is my x and this is the minus y which we already wrote. Again what I have is x is 7 minus 3y plus y, which is 39. So it is 7 minus 4y into 7 minus 2y equals 39. Now I'll just open this. So it is 49 minus 14y minus 28y plus 8y square, which is 39. 8y square minus 42y plus 10 is 0. Now I'll divide the equation throughout by 2 so that I have to solve a smaller quadratic. So it is 4y square minus 21y plus 5 is equal to 0. So applying the quadratic formula, I get y as minus b plus or minus square root of b square. 21 square, which is actually 441 minus 4 times a times b, the whole by 2a. So I get y 21 plus or minus square root of 441 minus 80 by 8. So now y is 21 plus or minus square root 361 by 8. Now either you can input this into a calculator, or I know that square root of 361 is 19. See, although you are using a calculator, but having these small squares and cubes, knowing them by heart, makes no harm. It will just speed you up in the exam because you're not always there typing on the calculator and trying to see that whether your answer is correct or not. And sometimes, just sometimes, it can happen that you input 360 instead of 361, or while typing you miss out a digit, and that will give you a completely wrong answer. So knowing these small squares and square roots, it makes no harm, so why not learn them by heart? So this will turn out to be one of the answers is put this into the linear equation because I know that I can have only two sets of values. So my x is equal to 7 minus 3, when y is 5, I get 7 minus 15, which is minus 8, x is minus 8. And the other time x is equal to 7 minus 3 times 1 by 4. So it is 7 minus 3 by 4. I take an LCM, I get 28 minus 3 by 4, which is 25 by 4. So x is 25 by 4. A is the point 3 comma 5 and B is the point 1 comma minus 7. We have to find the equation of line perpendicular to AB and that passes through A. So simply I'll just draw a small grammatical representation of the question. This is point A, which is 3 comma 5, and let me assume this is point B, which is 1 comma minus 7. Now I have this line. What I have to find is a line perpendicular and passing through A. Passing through A and line perpendicular. This is y equal to mx plus c. Firstly, I'll find the slope of AB. I write it as NAB. So this is y2 minus y1 whole by x2 minus x1. So y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. See, because I have taken this phi as my y2, this 3 will be my x2. So do remember that because you are taking this as the second point and this as the first, it is always the second point minus the first point. So don't mistakenly write as 1 minus 3 in the denominator, because I have seen sometimes it happens with students when they are in this tense present, they are present for the exam, they are quite tense and so they make these small errors. So beware that you don't do that. So it turns out to be 5 plus 7 by 2. So this is 6. Now I know that m times MAB should be minus 1 because the product of slopes which are perpendicular is minus 1. So I have m, and m of AB I got it as 6. So m is minus 1 by 6. I got m. Now it has to pass through. So my line looks like y is minus x by 6 plus c. Now to find this c, I know that this line will pass through 3 comma 5. So if I substitute 3 comma 5 into this line, it should satisfy. So I get 5 is equal to minus of 3 by 6 plus c. So 5 is minus half plus c. So c is equal to 5 plus half. Again I take LCM. So I get 10 plus 1 by 2, which is 11 by 2. So this is what my c is. This is c and this is m. So I get y as minus x by 6 plus 11 by 2. A car travels this much, 146.2 meters, correct to one decimal place. So, and it takes 7 seconds, correct to the nearest second. I have to calculate the upper bound of speed. Speed is nothing but it is distance over time. Now, because I want the upper bound of speed, means I want to have what is the maximum possible speed for this given data. So I know that whenever numerator increases, the value of the fraction will increase. So if my numerator increases, value will increase. And if my denominator decreases, again the value will increase. So what I want is I want to increase, I want to have the maximum distance and the time should be minimum. What is the minimum possible? So 146.2 meters correct to the first decimal place. So the upper bound for distance will be 146.2 plus 0.05 and time to the nearest second. So it will be, I want that the minimum time possible. So it will be 7 minus 0.5. So I get it as 146.25 divided by 6.5. So this is 22.5. This is the upper bound for speed. Now also it is really important to keep yourself hydrated during the exam. These exams are long, but it's really important that you have some water in between. Don't need to worry about the paper. You will finish on time if you follow my lead, but do have some water in between. It really helps to bring back your concentration. Now you have to sketch cos x. So cos of 0 is 1, cos 90 is 0, cos 180 is minus 1, cos 270 is 0, and cos 360 is again 1. So I have to get a smooth curve. Yes, please forgive me. This 270 and 180 got a little off. Now I have to solve this equation. So firstly I'll separate out the cos term to one side and the constants to the other. So it is 4 cos x is equal to 3 minus 2. 4 cos x is equal to 1. I want cos x equals 1 by 4. So if I input, I get x as cos inverse of 1 by 4. Now whenever I'll input this, I know that cos x equals 1 by 4. It is 1 by 4 is somewhere about here. This is 1 by 4. So if I find, I will get this one value. Whenever I input it in the calculator, I will get this value as x. But if you see, there is another value. I had previously talked upon this point in the specimen paper 2 which I did of 2020, but again I'll just put a little stress that you will get a second value. As you can see, you have two blanks. The first x value you will directly get it from the calculator when you do this operation cos inverse of 1 by 4. To get the second value will be nothing but it will be 360 minus x, because this distance this distance that I am talking about, this is also x. So one value will be x. Now whatever you get cos inverse 1 by 4, that will be this answer. Please don't write cos inverse 1 by 4, write the value for this from the calculator. And here you will write 360 minus this value. It will be 360 minus the value. Now we have to find the value of a and b. Firstly I have x square minus 12x plus a, that is equal to x plus b the whole square. So I'll just expand this RHS. I get x square minus 12x plus a is equal to x square plus 2xb plus b square. Now x square and x square gets cancelled from both the sides. I'll take this x term to the right and bring this constant to the left. So I get a minus b square is equal to x times 2b plus 12. Now, as I had mentioned about the identity, this is an identity. So it should satisfy for all values of x. So now let me just say that both the LHS and RHS they are equal to 0. Now if this RHS term this is equal to 0, so it means there are two options. Either x is 0 or 2b plus 12 that is 0. Now I know that x cannot be 0. This cannot be 0 because it is an identity. It should satisfy for all values of x. So x equal to 0 cannot be the option. So I know that this is correct. So I get b as minus 6. Now I know that because this term is 0, also a minus b square should be 0. So a minus b square is 0. A is equal to b square. So a is equal to minus 6 the whole square. A is 36. Now straight away I can see that zy this is equal to 2 times xy. So firstly because whenever a vector A is equal to some n times a vector B, both A and B are collinear because they differ only in their magnitude, their direction is the same because I am only multiplying it by a scalar. So because here 2 is just a scalar, their direction is same, which means x, y, z, all three of them are collinear. Collinear vector as in all three of them they lie on a straight line. I can have x, y, and z. All of them will be somewhere on a same straight line. Also, because I have been talking about this multiplying by a scalar, the distance zy vector that is equal to 2 times the distance of xy vector. So finally we have come to an end to today's paper, and guys do remember to like this video if you liked it. If you did not like it, please leave a dislike, and also please comment your thoughts, whatever comes to your mind after watching it, so that I can read those comments and I can make better videos for you all. Also, next video which I'll be posting will be the paper 4, paper 42 of the Feb-Mar series only, and I also have some topics which I'll be teaching coming up. So do remember to subscribe to my channel. Also, there are links down in the description to my other social media accounts, as in I have a Twitter account, Facebook, and Instagram. You can follow me there as well. And yes, keep practicing. But please remember to share this video with each and everyone, and subscribe, like, share, subscribe, comment. Thank you guys.
Be strong.